Chapter 14, Grayson. When I first heard the announcements this morning, I was not at all excited to be named Junior Homecoming Prince. Normally, it's not something I'd care about either way, but watching Lynn be all loved up with Mark is usually annoying, which I'd assumed would only be worse with them being on homecoming court together. I started looking at Lynn differently this summer, but then she started dating Ethan Frost. By the time they broke up, she was already enamored with Mark. Hearing that she dumped him yesterday made me much happier than it should have. Now she's fair game and will be doing all of the homecoming activities together. I'm hoping to use this as an opportunity to show her I could be her Prince Charming, not just her homecoming prince. Okay, that sounded stupid even in my head. I look at the text she sent earlier in the day. She texted the group chat after her second period letting us know her mom made lasagna for lunch. Right after, she sent a text to just me. Kingston, I'm glad we're on homecoming court together. You might be the only thing that makes dealing with the cheerleaders bearable. Smiley face. When I first got it, I assumed she'd just be happy to have a friend with her. But with the news about Mark, I was hoping maybe she was glad it was me specifically and not because we're friends. I want to ask her out, but that'd blow up in my face. Not only did she just break up with my teammate and captain, but we have a creed within the Knights that I had to follow. We lived on the same block all of our lives. Since Lynn's mom, Stella, wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, she ended up being nanny to Oliver, Daniel, and me growing up. Stella, who's always been big into sports, played catch with us, taught us to dribble, and would take us to watch at least one game a week. None of our parents were ever around much because they're workaholics. When we were old enough to play, Stella was our coach. Our town didn't have a girls' league for many sports starting that young at the time, so Lynn played on our team. We played at least one season of every sport available because Stella wanted us to be able to try everything. When we were 4, Jet was put on a team, and the 5 of us have been inseparable since then. Lynn's uncle, Logan, lived with them growing up. He played sports and even went to play college basketball. He'd coach us when he was home, and Stella would take us to his games when she could. This sparked our love for basketball, which was the glue that held us together for a long time. When we realized Lynn wasn't actually one of the guys, we started fighting over her. Never trying to be obvious when we were around her, but we tried to sit next to her or guard her whenever we played sports. After a few weeks of this, we realized we needed to do something since we were always fighting and Lynn had started to notice. We made our own creed and decided the fairest way to handle it was that none of us could have her. That was the beginning of 4th grade. In 5th grade, more of our friends started dating, and Lynn asked Daniel to be her boyfriend. Due to our creed, he said no. Lynn wouldn't hang out with any of us after that. After the first day that she wouldn't come out of her house, Daniel told us what happened. Jet then got mad and stopped talking to Daniel. At the time, I didn't care about Lynn wanting to date Daniel. The cheerleaders were pretty and flirty, and my tomboy of a best friend was already off limits. So 3 days later, when Lynn still wasn't talking to us, Oliver and I invited Daniel and Jet to our house without telling them the other was coming. I told Daniel he should say yes to Lynn. The creed was to keep dating from coming between the nights, and that was happening because he said no. Jet got mad, saying it wasn't fair because he wanted to date Lynn. We all argued for a while before we came up with a new creed. None of us were allowed to ask Lynn out or try to kiss her, but if she asked, we could say yes. When we were hanging out with the Knights, the flirting and relationshipy behavior would be kept to a minimum. The other guys couldn't stop coming over because they were jealous. They'd have to suck it up and deal. Once we came to an agreement, Daniel ran over to Lynn's house to tell her he did want to be her boyfriend. Jet, Oliver, and I went to the park to play basketball. Jet said he wanted to go so Daniel could be with Lynn without the rest of us around. Oliver and I knew better, but didn't call him on it. Jet was moody the next few weeks until Lynn and Daniel broke up, but he got over it, which meant I'd need to get Lynn to ask me out. I had a feeling Mark dropping the L-bomb on her was not going to make her want to get back in another relationship. Nothing scares Lynn off faster than romantic love. Every time a boyfriend says he loves her, it's always the beginning of the end of their relationship. Normally, it's not as sudden as it was with Mark, but it's only a matter of time. It doesn't come up that often because Lynn doesn't usually stay in relationships very long. Lynn typically stays single longer if her most recent ex said they loved her. Daniel called her on it once after seeing Josh Wicks, the pitcher of the baseball team, broke up. She said it was because she didn't want to hurt him any more than she already had. I think it's more that it makes her gun-shy with dating, especially since those are the only times she ever kisses guys without being in a relationship first. I'm pretty sure making out with the first baseman under the bleachers would hurt Josh just as much as her dating someone else. I guess she thinks as long as it's not officially a relationship, then no one will know about it. I spend the afternoon trying to work out a plan for how to get Lynn to ask me out. I'm still in my head about it in the locker room when we're getting changed for athletics. Yo, Slater, I heard you dumped Kingston for Whitney over the weekend. This came from Dane Watkins, our other first-string wide receiver and team pot stirrer. What's up with that? I don't have any interest in Whitney. That chick is nuts. Things with Lynn had run its course, so we decided to end it. Mark looks confident as he says this, but I catch him glancing towards where the Knights and I are changing. He's probably worried about us contradicting him. So, is it cool if I ask her to the dance on Saturday? Watkins asks. Dude, they just broke up. Not cool. Josh Wicks hits Watkins on the back of the head. What? Lynn's hot, and she never stays single for long. The dance would be a perfect rebound date. Give her a shoulder to cry on, then bam, I have a hot date to the dance with the potential for making out afterwards. Watkins wiggles his eyebrows on his last remark. Colton slams his locker and storms out of the locker room. This isn't the first time the guys have brought up Lynn. It upsets Colton, but being a freshman, the seniors don't listen to him. He has learned it's easier to walk away. It tends to egg them on when he tries to get them to shut up. Drop it, Watkins. You're being a jerk, Tristan says. Besides, Lynn doesn't need a date to the dance. The words have an instant effect on Mark. He deflates for a moment before looking pissed. No one else has noticed because all eyes are on Tristan. What? Did you get back out of the friend zone? Mark scoffs. During his relationship with Lynn, he was never comfortable with all of her close friends being guys, especially since 3 are her exes. Tristan seems to pick up on the mood shift in the room. We are friends. That's it. We're all going in a group as friends. You can all calm down. I'm done with this conversation and head out to the field. Tristan is close behind me, and I hope that means they dropped it after I left.